stay for the fixing. That's how trust grows. Don't just circle the fire. Grab, grin and run. Real ones keep showing up when the prizes are done. Take and vanish. Take and vanish. Say you're here, then gone. Take and vanish. Take and vanish. We remember what you did. Take and vanish. Take and vanish. You can't eat and live. Take and vanish. Take and vanish. Not in this house, not here. You'll stay down. Fresh in the gate, bag gear, blank slate. You and your Illuvials, hungry, not great. Boots on the stone, hands on the rail. First slam in the arena, first hard fail. They read your move, then broke your line. One clean strike and you fell every time. Dust on your face, grin still alive. You said run it back just to survive. Round after round you stayed in the fire. Every scar taught you higher, higher. You learned their feints, their breath, their pace. You learned how to lose without losing your place. Round after round, you rise. Round after round, you rise. They knocked you down, you got back up. Now you drink that pain like a champion cup. Round after round, you rise. Round after round, you rise. From the floor to the crown, you don't stay down. New scars stacked up on your name. Bad brackets, bad draws, same old shame. Your Illuvial shook, then stood again. Little by little they learned to win. One move left when the trap got set. One took the hit, never blinked yet. You stopped chasing glory, started to build. Slow hand, sharp heart, iron will. And after round you stayed in the fire. Every fall turned the spark a little brighter. You learned their feints, their breath, their pace. You learned how to lose without losing your place. Round after round, you rise. Round after round, you rise. They knocked you down, you got back up. Now you drink that pain like a champion cup. Round after round, you rise. Round after round, you rise. From the floor to the crown, you don't stay down. Long nights, long walks back, salt in your mouth, cracks in the track. Then one clean break, one perfect call. Your team moved like one and they took it all. No more panic, no more please, just calm in the blaze, eyes on the keys. The crowd went wild when your name hit high. You looked at the ring like, this is mine, mine, mine. This is mine, 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 mine. Round after round, you rise. Round after round, you rise. They knocked you down, you got back up. Now you drink that pain like a champion cup. Round after round, stay down. Champion, no, you rise. Champion, now, you rise. The bruises were proof you came through. Down, eyes up, we came to play. One last hit, then we all say, close by close, we hold our line. Steel in the breath and fire in the mind. No empty throne, no lone wolf run. Every hard round brings us as one. Hear that shout, it rolls through the floor. One more clash, then we want more. Shoulder to shoulder, we rise in the glow. Tightest fight makes the whole room grow. Stand as one, stand as one. Close battle, still we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps lifting someone. Stand as one, stand as one. We play for the league, we play for the bond. Quick right turn, a near miss spark. One clean break, then back to the dark. Tiny margins, big brave hearts. One shared win from a dozen starts. New names, old friends, same battle cry. We learn your moves and we cheer you by. When the dust sets, we stay in the ring. Win or lose, we still fear that shout. It rolls through the floor. One more clash, then we want more. Shoulder to shoulder, we rise in the glow. Tightest fight makes the whole room grow. Stand as one, stand as one. Close battle, still we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps lifting someone. Stand as one, stand as one. We play for the league, we play for the bond. From first sparks to final calls, we trade the scars, but we don't fall. Your name, my name, one steady flame. Across this field, we're more than a game. Stand as one, stand as one. Stand as close battle, still we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps lifting someone. Stand as one, stand as one. This league is our home. This league is our soul.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are back with This Week in Illuvium. We're going to be talking about all the news surrounding Illuvium and its universe of games, and we have quite a bit to talk about as always, but of course, especially now, Dev Chat's in the books, a newfound spark here for the Illuvium Arena and all of its community and players. But then, of course, we did have another patch as well. I talked about it a bunch yesterday, but we'll touch on a few things, of course, because it's going to follow up into our future topics here today. Of course, if you're brand new here, my name's Silent. I have been essentially an esports commentator, especially in the college esports scene, for about the last decade or so. And with that, I have now found myself into Illuvium, been really enjoying it. Illuvium has essentially been my source of entertainment, my source of fun, and my source of community for about at least the last 2 years or so, but especially this last year. And with that, I'm trying my damnedest to make as many or as much videos, as much entertainment through Illuvium specifically as possible. And with that, of course, This Week in Illuvium is our news show. So we'll be going through everything. Of course, we are going to touch on Illuvium Deathmatch in regards to current jackpots, where they happen to be standing. How does the Illuvial population look? How many Illuvials were burned? We'll go through all of that kind of stuff in the Deathmatch section. With a new patch, of course, it's going to have a very small sample size, but which team compositions happen to be, I guess, taking flight, so to speak, since the changes, and Fire in particular, how's it doing? Because it got hit pretty heavily. We'll have to see. We do have, of course, the opportunity, with it being Wednesday, in about 4 hours from now, we will be having a leaderboard snapshot where all of the players on the top of the leaderboard will be scoring some rewards for themselves. Let's take a look and see who's on top for their respective games. We'll go over the top sales in regards to Illuvials, as well as any Illuvium Zero land sales over the past 7 days. We'll touch on the Silent House Community Rescue. I did a fresh inventory on it to see how many Illuvials and which Illuvials we have, which ones are we still potentially missing, and what our possible Caribou Cup players could be earning sometime in the near future. And then I want to, again, touch on House League as well. We're going back to ownership on. We'll touch on a little bit more of that as well as we get to that segment. And then, of course, ownership in general is now the big discussion, I do believe, since the dev talk. Because the question is, TPI, stats, levels, how much should they matter? I want to have a discussion at the end of the news show about that. And then we'll wrap things up, of course, with our Illuvium Arena House League prizing. We're going to open up all of the Illuvial packs and get ready to send them on over to the winners from last week's House League tomorrow morning. As always, I do have the chat in the bottom left-hand corner. As much as this is news-based and a little bit of my opinion-based, I also want the opinion of all of you. So by all means, fire it off in the chat if you want to drop a question, comment, concern, or just want to hang out a little bit while we're talking about the news. By all means, happy to see you. And Big Man JB, I see you. Good to see you here. Are you near any of the fires in Canada? Lots of smoke in Wisconsin. Currently couldn't go outside. We do have a little bit of a caution, and you can definitely feel it a little bit when you go outside, but thankfully not that crazy as of this moment. Thank you for your concern, though, and I hope you're doing all right. I'd like to quickly touch on, of course, Illuvium Deathmatch. To start off the show, we're going to be taking a look at Deathmatch itself, because I do want to, let's see, pop this on over. Can you see it? You can, kinda. I might need to use this display capture mode instead. This is probably a little bit better for now. But in terms of the jackpots, the last jackpot that was hit in Illuvium Deathmatch in the standard mode was Stone Borges, but that was over 8 days ago. There's been no jackpots hit whatsoever this week, and that's actually brought the jackpot up here into standard mode to about 12,000 or 12.1k in terms of skulls, which of course equates to about 120 bucks USD. So probably the biggest jackpot I have seen since the start of this game. Yeah, it's the biggest jackpot currently since the first one that came out day one over a month ago. So good luck to everybody chasing that one. It seems like the amount of matches happening here in the standard mode is pretty healthy. Multiple matches every single hour. So good luck to everybody continuing to push towards that one. And hopefully your Illuvial can be the all-star scooping that one up for you. In regards to the advanced mode, there is still no jackpot one whatsoever, but you can see the amount of matches due to the higher ante-in is much, much slower. The last match in the advanced mode did go over the Moth Puck or to Monster, where their Duoleth was able to take the win. But that jackpot, of course, not been hit. It's still at 16.7k, It's never been won since the creation of the advanced mode. So still absolutely up for grabs, but you can tell those game modes a little bit slower to try and get to. In regards to the Deathmatch Graveyard, of course, thank you, Rowdy Data, for collecting all of this data here for us. We can bring it back to the news segment here. That works out perfectly. There we go. We have passed the point where over 500,000 Illuvials have been killed in the Deathmatch game modes. Over 510,000 as of this moment. In terms of burns for the last 24 hours, we're seeing about 2,700 or so unique players. It's in a relatively even spot here. Over the last couple of days, it was a little bit higher. It's dropped a tiny bit since then, but it's pretty much matching the lows of, say, earlier in July. So I would say staying pretty strong for the most part. Might not necessarily have any of the new car smell kind of added to it, but it's still hanging in there, still going good. The burn hurts to watch, I believe it. Absolutely. In terms of the alluvial supplies, of course, with over 2 million alluvials ever minted, the fact that we have killed off 500,000 of them is pretty significant. So if the goal again for Illuvium Deathmatch was to try to call the numbers of the amount of alluvials that are currently out there, well, doing a pretty damn good job, if I do say so myself. With over 500,000 killed, they will be taken down, of course. That's pretty significant overall. In terms of the most killed alluvials, the Lynx remains the top alluvial killed by a long shot. Just about 2,000 Lynxes killed over the last 7 days. With the Grocco, Tebow, a couple of our tier zeros, just because of the raw amount of tier zeros that you tend to get from your packs. That kind of makes sense. And then short to follow would just end up being the tier 1. So it's pretty much matching tiers. That part is pretty well standard. In regards to the unluckiest players, who's killed off the most alluvials over the last 7 days, Jub is on an absolute tear, apparently. 2,200 alluvials lost over the last 7 days, with Palagon Ezil going to be in third here, short to follow Halagon as well. That's a new name to me, seeing Ezil up there. A to the G in fourth. Unhappy Sura, that's a name I haven't seen in a little while, going to be in fifth. Hector going to be in sixth. McSide seventh, and Mothfucker Monster going to be your top unluckiest players as of right now in regards to the amount of alluvials we've just straight up killed here this week. Burn alluvials in terms of TPI, this doesn't update every 7 days, I don't think. So otherwise, I think we're pretty well set here. Let's see if there's one more thing. Mode activity. We're going to be taking a look. Of course, that blue line is the free mode. How many matches have been happening? And I will say, the free mode is still moving pretty quickly, all things considered. But I think we're past the days where we're used to seeing, say, 2 or 3 lobbies all happening at the same time. It's really slowed down now to the point where maybe there's one lobby, like 1.5 lobbies kind of filled and playing at any given time. And hence the big drop-off that we've been seeing here over the last couple of days. I don't know if people have just essentially burned through all of their alluvials or what have you, but free mode seems to have been slowing down ever so slightly, and then standard and advanced, of course, compared to free mode, have many less games, to say the least. I mean, Deathmatch overall, it of course is still kicking, it's still hanging in there, it's still doing all right, but the new car smell kind of portion of it is slowing down a little bit. In regards to our arena insights, of course, we did just get a balance patch that came out right before the dev talk that happens for dedicated towards arena. It would have happened just on Monday. I think it was Monday morning, essentially, here for me, where it finally came out. I'm not going to go into big-time details here about it, but what I will say is that, first and foremost, if you want to read it all yourself, in the description of this video, I do have the blog post showing every single change. But if I were to sum it up for you here with this new patch, basically, Fire got hit pretty hard, Mystics got hit really hard, Tsunami got buffed, and then the Ranger as a whole got buffed majorly. with a lot of tankiness, damage, just a big buff all around to make that ranger feel more important in the battles. So if you want to see exactly what's going on, of course, the blog post will be there. And then my video yesterday, I went through everything as well. If you wanted to take a look at that, I dive deeply into not just the arena patch notes, but the dev talk as well. So if you want to take a look at that afterwards, by all means, go for it. But where does that lead us currently when it comes to the meta? Of course, we've only had a couple days worth of matches. So like always, with it being the just ranked mode, of course, this isn't tournament play. How ranked play goes versus tournament play is always different. It's not necessarily one-to-one, but we can get at least a little bit of a sense as to what seems to be strong as of this moment, which team compositions are people confident in playing. And then, of course, the small sample size do keep in mind because we are still very early into this patch. But as of right now, it seems to be Steam Harbinger now leading the charge. Of course, Umber didn't really get touched at all during the last patch, and with it already being a relatively strong team, it was probably like within the top 5 of the last patch. However, with 3 of those teams being Fire, and then arguably the second best team was either Mystics, which also got nerfed, or Nature, which also got nerfed. So Steam has gotten itself into a spot where it's essentially escaped all the nerfs, and it should be in a position, I think, to hopefully not dominate, but it's definitely in a good spot to say the least. But with all those hits to Inferno, or not with Inferno, but with 6 Fire in particular, but Fire as a whole, we do still see Fire taking up 3 of the top 5 spots here. Inferno Arcanite is still very good. Inferno Behemoth still performing very well. Heck, even Steam Invoker is coming on through here, which I'm very curious about. But Steam Invoker, another Fire-based team that you can absolutely go for if you wanted to, utilizing the Umber in that team comp as well. And then we start to see at least a little bit of hope here for Nature players. Verdant Aegis, the very, very tanky corner comp you can put on through here. A little bit of hope here for the Rogue players here as well, as the classic, the Verdant Vanguard, is starting to show up here in 6th place. Mud Invoker, an odd combination here, but going to be moving up into the A slot. Then Granite Mystic finally shows up. It's going to be 8th as of this moment. Inferno Phantom. Phantom is another one of those compositions that did get a buff. While all the Fire Illuvials got nerfed, Phantom got a buff to try and compensate, and potentially a little bit of love there for Monarch and for Rampfight and Rampfire. So I'll be interested to see what happens with those 2 Illuvials in particular as this patch goes on. Otherwise, Mud Berserker's still around. Tsunami, of course, is on the radar of a handful of players. When the patch first came out, I feel like a lot of people really were gung-ho for Tsunami, especially if composite chips got into play. But as of late, I don't think I've seen this number change since day 1 of the patch. So maybe having a little bit of a harder time now. Couple of other final things to note here. Again, there's only 3 wins on these, so again, low sample size. But Toxic Invoker, basically my team comp, coming on through into that one. Inferno Aegis is another potential up-and-coming one. A Verdant Mystic, again, Mystic's getting absolutely slapped. Going to be dropping down as a B-tier team. Then otherwise, we're just kind of in the weeds with like 3 wins or less here. So to kind of just run it up, Steam seems to be doing pretty good. Fire is still alright, but Mystics absolutely tumble. Did be here in the chat. I played 2 matches last night and got first in both. And 1 matches had 2 top 10 players. Hell yeah, good job. Did not see anybody else playing Tsunami. Alright. I mean, maybe they knew better and they realized that as soon as you're in the lobby that maybe they shouldn't contest you. But at the same time, interesting to see that it's not like contesting worthy status of, like, say, Inferno Arcanites of the past. And of course, with it being the end of a reward cycle being Wednesday, we do have a bunch of leaderboards to go over to see who could potentially be scoring themselves some prizes. Whether that be fuel, whether that be ILV or ETH, doesn't matter. Let's take a look and see if we can give some people their props. Let's hop on over to the Illuvium Zero side of things, where we're going to see the weekly rewards for the first time in a couple weeks go up above 0.01. We're now at 0.03 this time by, so a little bit of an increase, a small increase, but we'll absolutely take it. And of course, the leader as of this moment is going to be Sergio, going to be taking the lead by a relatively decent margin here over Zev and Yabeezer. Test 001 up there, Bew as always is up there, Agent J, Bora, Winks, Infidel, and the Confident Fury going to round up our top 10 there. But good to see a little bit of movement here on the weekly rewards. First time in a while I've seen it above the minimum amount. In terms of Illuvium Gauntlet, the arena, of course, Bart retakes the lead once again over 21 Knight. Those two have been going back and forth for the last couple of weeks, and this time Bart is going to be the one on top. Badul going to round up the podium in third position. Texan short to follow in fourth. Draknyen in fifth. Wolverine 777 Hype going to be sixth. Test 001 in seventh. Hector from Mad Dogs in eighth. Zyfet with a move up into the ninth spot. Then Torx in 10th. Couple of quick shoutouts as well to Surfer Dude for 11th, Androa in 12th, Nocacho 13th, Red Jack 00 in 14th, and Toshino up to 15th, Weak Jotun 16th, Valiant Ranger 17th, Kirito in 18th, Leveling Bot going to be 19th, and Aqua Squawk going to be in 20th. And personally, I've played a good handful of games since the patch came out. I'm happy to have gotten back into the top 30. We'll keep trying to climb tomorrow. We've seen Mud getting contested a little bit. Considering that there's so many people trying to play Mud plus another composition, that's really interesting to me. It's not just Mud Berserker anymore. There's like Mud Mystic, there's Mud Invoker. There's a few different team comps coming on through, which personally, I find that very interesting to see. Double checking to see if there's any movement on the Illuvium beyond the entirety of set 1. Any rewards there for our top 10? Nobody's moved, it looks like, but we'll still give shoutouts where it's due, where we're going to see Alexa continue to lead the charge alongside Final Boss and Leader Acola. Hector from Mad Dogs in 4th, Jub 5th, Samsara in 6th, Hyper Hunter 7th, Bondaddy Ratty in 8th, Stevo 9th, and McSign gonna round things up in 10th. In regards to leaderboards for the Illuvium Deathmatch side of things, we'll pull that up in just a second here as well. We'll hop on over here. In regards to the most skulls one, let's see, over the last 7 days, this one's going over, for the standard mode at least, going over to Hector, with about $127 worth of winnings going their way. Inspectivault's going to be right behind them at 119. Monster, Mothpuck, going to be there with about 115, it looks like. Dexter Monarch going to be in there with 101. Tipsy with $91 won. We got Artie going to be there with about $80 won. Axe Billionaire with 77. Patch Tourist with 55. Halagon with 54. And Sergio going to be rounding up our top 10 with 53. But again, with that big jackpot of about $120 sitting here in the standard mode, this leaderboard can shift at any point with just the right win. In regards to most skulls won for advanced mode, of course, with there only being the one match over the last little bit, it's going to be Monster leading the charge with $18 there on that win. Furies, Ex-Billionaire, Money Shot, and Cycle going to round up the advanced leaderboards. How about for the free side of things, for those trying to collect the bones? It's going to be Furies is the absolute king of the bone collectors here today with about 37,000 bones collected. Jub short to follow alongside Hector for the top 3. Tipsy, Aqua Squawk, Tapio, Cyberset rounding up from 4th to 7th. Sasha Simp going to be in 8th, Ezil in 9th, and Matango going to wrap up the top 10 here for bones collected. So congratulations, of course, to everybody who's potentially picking up those Illuvials, or not those Illuvials for themselves, but picking up their prizes. Again, 4 hours from now, things can still, of course, change. You have a little bit of wiggle room if you want to try and score or up your spot on the leaderboard, score a little bit more fuel. I know personally I'm happy with my spot in the gauntlet being in the top 30. It basically supplies me my XP boost for the week, so I'm very, very happy for that part. We can now move on over into our top sales of the week. We're going to take a look at Illuvials first here. We saw a relatively quiet week last week where there was only one Illuvial that broke above $100 price tag for sale. Will that change here this week? Let's hop on over right here, right now, starting with our top 25 Illuvial sales of this week over the last 7 days. Starting off with this Sin-Off, picked up by Prowler, a nice 83 TPI Sin-Off. Just missing a little bit of Omega Power and Resistances on the thing, and it would be incredible. But still, for 18 bucks, not bad at all. Congratulations, Sir Prowler. Now, anytime I see a Dark Hollow sale now, I'm worried that this is going to Deathmatch, and we'll have to see if that ends up being the case. Tipsy is one of those players that has been playing a lot of Deathmatch, so I imagine this Doka is probably in the Deathmatch pit, getting that one for just about 19 bucks. We're going to be seeing an Exalted Water, a Tipo, just under 20 bucks going on over this Dark Hollow. Of course, absolute beauty. You know, right after my stream on Tuesday there, I was saying how much I love the Atipo. And I hate to see the fact that this one in particular sure as hell has been burnt. It has been killed off. Hate to see it go. And that's going to be, again, Tipsy picking up that one. Of course, with Dark Hollows having a pretty substantial boost in the arena. I believe it's like, what, a 20% stat bonus? I can understand why people are definitely looking for these Dark Hollows, but it hurts to see them go, and that one has been killed off. How about this Titanor, 74 TPI going over to Hogan? That is a pretty strong one, considering it's got both of its tank stats essentially good to go. Its main job is tanking, well, it's got the perfect stats for that. Congratulations, Hogan, on your new Titanor. How about this Adorius we see over on the right-hand side? 77 TPI being picked up for Hogan as well. Just over 24 bucks onto that one. Turtleox, this thing's basically perfect. It's just missing some Omega Power for just over 27 bucks. This one actually going over to Bond Daddy Ratty. That is an absolute menacing Turtleox. Congratulations. This low TPI, low TPI HP hollowed out a Fisto for just over 27, going over to none other than the Tier 5 Stage 3 Hollow Collector. They're going to be picking up this one for just under 28. Congratulations. A beautiful 90 TPI Matu. This is the middle stage evolution here for the Mammoth. We see it getting some levels as well. So it's good to see it's maybe getting some work done in the arena for just over 28. That's going to be Tallulah. Awesome little Mammoth going your way. Congratulations. We see a Relentless Lynx coming on through, a Dark Hollow one at that. So I imagine this one probably went to Deathmatch, especially since it was bought by Tipsy. 100% that went to Deathmatch then. 28 bucks essentially here for that one. Congratulations if it's still alive. How about this Lolura, this competitively perfect Lolura at that level 60, 94 TPI for just over 31 bucks. This is an absolute beauty, the Balian Ranger. Adding that Lolura into their arsenal, that is an incredible pickup. Congratulations. Gregory Golden going to be jumping in here with this 50 TPI Arcane Links that happens to be Dark Hollow. I do gotta check just for my own morbid curiosity. Is this thing still with us? Is it still alive? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm very happy to see that. The Dark Hollow is still hanging around. The beautiful Links. Congratulations for just under 32. We've got this one here for Tipsy as well. We know where this one's going. Exalted Monkier Dark Hollow for 34 bucks. That's an absolute solid Monkier, considering it's got that attack stat on lock and it's all Dark Hollowed up. But I imagine that one's probably gone. Tipsy, again, congratulations. I hope it's still with us. How about this one? No, this is going to be Trinix. Trinix is going to be picking up a Nimble Lynx Dark Hollow, just over 34 bucks here for this one. I'm going to scout this one just because I have, again, my morbid curiosity. Is this Nimble Link still with us? Yes, it is, and it's still in Trinix's wallet. There we go. It's still here. Happy to see that. Congratulations. 35 bucks here for a beautiful Flood. It's not leveled up just yet, but it's still 93 TPI. An absolute fantastic Illuvial. And that's going over to Bond Daddy Ratty. Just double checking. I see that my chat quickly died. Reconnected. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good. Sorry about that. And 35 bucks here for another Nimble Lynx that is Dark Hollow. This one going over to Money Shot 69. This could be a mixture of things. Money Shot, of course, up there on the leaderboards for the Deathmatch side of things as well. Is this Nimble Lynx still with us? No, it is not. That is absolutely unfortunate to see. The beautiful Nimble Lynx, Dark Hollow, is gone. Dark Hollow Seaforest. This one after my own heart. An absolute beautiful Seaforest coming on through here. It might be 74 TPI, but offensively, this thing was sound. But it looks like it's actually getting some competitive play here. It is level 41. This one going over the Tipsy, though. Maybe it was just happened to be that way when they put it up there. Seaforest, are you still with us? I promise I'm not going to do this for every single one. But I want to see. This Seaforest is still kicking. Let's go. So, congratulations there, Tipsy. On to that one. Adorius is coming on through here. A nice hollow Adorius at that. 43 bucks for this one. This one going over the Patch Tourist. Congratulations. Another solid Titanor. 83 TPI into this one. Defensively sound. And again, considering it's a tank, it's got exactly what it needs. Congratulations, Hogan, on the awesome pickup there for just under 45. For our top sales of the week, let's take a look and see this top row. First off, Dark Hollow, Nimble, Floralinks, tanky as can be. Missing a little bit of offenses. 61 TPI, 48 bucks. This one going over to Axe Billionaire, who I know has been building a little bit of a graveyard collection with Deathmatch. So I'm curious if this Dark Hollow is gone. Sure as heck it is. The Dark Hollow Nimble Floralinks has passed on. Absolute heartbreaker to see it go. How about here for Money Shot? Can they stop the combo here of these Dark Hollow Links as being killed off for just about 50 bucks? This Arcane Zephyr Links. We'll see here in just a second. Then, sure enough, X Billionaire in chat says, yeah, it's dead. Hate to see it. But I'd love to see this. This Arcane Zephyr Links is still with us. There we go. Congratulations there, Money Shot on the links. How about this Forest? This thing is an absolute competitive monster. 88 TPI, just missing a little attack speed and Omega power for just over 57 bucks. This one goes over to Prowler. Congratulations. And as always, X Billionaire, hope you're having a fantastic day. Good to see you. Titanor level 60, 75 TPI for this one. The fact that this thing's already leveled up to 60 is absolutely huge. And 63 was the cost here for that one. This one going over to Hogan as well. So I think Hogan has a couple Titanors now. And this one, competitively ready. Love to see it. This Virtuous Floralinks coming on through. This one, I feel like I know where this one's going. We do have a Virtuous Dark Hollow Links. It's only level 40. That's the default. With a 58 TPI, this went over to Trinix. Trinix, is this Virtuous Link still alive? Or has it fallen in the Deathmatch pit? It is still alive, so congratulations on your Dark Hollow. Now for our top sales, our top two. Something about the behemoths here seem to be going on all cylinders. A beautiful 95 TPI Flare. Level 56. The only thing it's missing is 1 point into resistances. You can work with that. That's absolutely incredible. This thing's going to hit like a truck, and there's no Cacho. I was wondering when I was going to say their name at some point here today, because they're always on this leaderboard. Congratulations with this beautiful, rare, competitive ready flare for just under 150. But essentially double that, and you have the biggest sale of the last 7 days, probably biggest sale of the last 30 days, if I recall correctly, for 309 bucks. This level 60, 93 TPI Hollow Jotun that is perfectly offensive and almost perfectly defensive as well. It is absolutely beautiful. Alucardo coming on through. Alucard would be an appropriate name, I think, actually, for a Jotun, given the Omnivamp it gets on its Omega. I actually really like that. But Alucardo, the first time we're seeing them here, and we're going to quickly check the Jotun. It is still with us. It is still alive. Although it's onto a different account here. I'm hoping that is not the burn account. But as a beautiful Jotun, I would hate to see that go. Although Axe is... You're sure it's dead? Oh, no. No. That'd be so heartbreaking to hear. But maybe that was the account it goes to before dying. Unless it's a different Jotun that we're thinking about. But still, congratulations to everybody on your recent pickups. I hope that they make an impact in your Illuvium journey one way or another. Resurrected, but probably stuck in Deathmatch now. Yep, so we will probably never get to see this Jotun in the arena or in Obelisk Rising, which is absolutely heartbreaking, because especially levels don't do you any good in Deathmatch. So that is a very good Jotun that has essentially fallen to the wayside. Of course, Illuvium Zero, I still like to take a look at it, even though there is essentially no reason to be playing Zero unless you're building up your city and getting it ready. So we'll take a look. I mean, there has been some pretty decent movement here, I do have to say. For the sales that have happened, they're actually pretty decent. We're going to start off with this one at Taiga Boreal. We do see Celerus picking one up at about 31 bucks here in Taiga Boreal. How about this tier 2? This is going to be Jake Neon Walker picking up this one in Crimson Waste for just about 81 bucks. Moving over to Abyssal Basin, where we do see Zizzo going to be picking this one up here for just over 118 bucks. If we go over here, Zizzo's returned again for about 150 bucks. They've picked up this land plot here in Taiga Boreal. How about heading on over to Shard Bluff Labyrinth, where we're going to see our first tier 3 of the top sales, where we're going to see Anthony 1998 going to be picking up this one. Congratulations there. That one's about 281 bucks. But we get a pretty significant jump in pricing over the last two here. In fact, this one sale that was just done about 40 minutes ago in Shard Bluff Labyrinth. We're going to see Extreme Lead picking that one up for just about 372 bucks. But the biggest sale in terms of Illuvium Zero land plots is the tier 3 that went for about $560. This one going on over to Alucardo. Congratulations, everybody, on your new plots. Build them up, and hopefully we'll have it running in no time, and you'll have something to keep pushing for and make that land work for you sometime soon. Obligatory. When are the gyms coming out? I'll do it instead of Drac here today. When gyms? Because I know that is definitely something I'd be very excited about. I would love to see gyms sometime soon, because I turn my land plots into daycares. I do not care. Or, not that I don't care, but I'd love that. We're going to check in with the Silence House Community Rescue. Of course, everybody has been very, very welcoming at my incentive here for the Community Rescue. Again, two purposes essentially here for the Silence House Community Rescue, as I pull it up here in just a second. Let's go to Display Cap, actually, once again. But the idea with this one, of course, one or two things. This is where I get all the Community Rescue Illuvials for Caribou Cup now. Any of the Illuvials that you do see with a 3 next to their name means I house at least 3 of these, or the numbers next to all these names are how many of each Illuvial of that type do I house in the Community Rescue. This could be ones that I've pulled off of Deathmatch, a couple of my extras, but also a bunch of community donations, which I thank you big time for as well, everybody. And with that, we are in a pretty decent spot where, or I'll start, go back for a second. The alternative thing here for the Silence House Community Rescue as well is with Deathmatch being here, of course, I do want to make sure that we at least have 2 of each Illuvial That way, if breeding ever gets added into Obelisk Rising, or at least my personal preference, if it gets added into Illuvium 0, I would love to be able to have at least 2 Illuvials. That way, no matter how crazy Deathmatch gets, we can keep that species of Illuvial alive. And with that, we've pretty much nailed it right on the head for every single species. You see the ones in the yellow, we have the 2 there. So I don't give those away as prizes just yet, but we are very, very close to being able to do so. Oddly enough, the ones that I'm missing a Greater Fire Valente, oddly enough. Able to get 2. Missing a Seer, I did need to give one away in a Caribou Cup prize, because it was one of the only things that I can't remember if it was either Ethan or Robert Tacho did not have, and I didn't want to just pepper them with a bunch of tier 0s for their event. So I'm a little bit down on Seer. I have the 1 Phosphorus, I'm thankful to have it, but not enough to breed them just yet. Same thing with the Dorius, but I know those are tier 5s, those are very valuable, but if you do happen to have extras, I would absolutely love and accept donations if you're willing to do so. I send this on over to the Silent Events account. That account never touches the Deathmatch Pit. It never touches Arena. It is strictly there for the community rescue and never actually plays a game. Otherwise, we have at least 2 of essentially everything, so we're still in pretty decent shape all around, and big thank you to everybody who's contributed and made the rescue as awesome as it is. We've almost completed the collection, and then it's all just Caribou Cup prizing from there, which is absolutely incredible. Speaking of House League, of course, last week was a special version of Illuvium Arena House League where we did have ownership turned off. We had the opportunity where everybody was playing on the exact same playing field, and it was a lot of fun. It was cool seeing, say, some of our Caribous or some of our Lynxes mixing it up and holding their own up against our Monarch Masters players, but in the end, it ended up being Texan coming back for what I believe is their 2nd victory in Illuvium Arena House League. Going to be the winner there alongside Sota Hype and Wolverine 777 Hype, then Hector. So our top 4, all Monarchs. So it's not just collection. They are absolutely good players in their own right as well. So I can't give them slack there. But we do happen to have a couple of upsets here in terms of, like, lower tier players making the upsets of sorts. Warrior Ace finding 5th. They normally, I believe, would be a Lynx League competitor. They're up there rather nicely. Awake Darkness, similar scenario, with one of the craziest scenarios also to get them even into the finals in the first place, because in a rare instance, we saw 2 players get eliminated at the exact same round, and they had the exact same amount of life taken away. Minus 11 on both. It was Awake Darkness versus Zexy. And of course, what made it even more interesting is that that was for the final transfer spot into the final. So Awake Darkness taking that and being able to get into the 6th place position. Robert Tacho, of course, our winningest Caribou Cup player, made it all the way into the finals and got 7th. And I know Cacho, frequently in the Monarch Masters, rounding up our finals here in 8th. Congratulations to all players. After a brief discussion, we will, of course, be going over all of your Illuvial packs that you won. So, stick around. We will absolutely do that very, very shortly. But I now want to bring this into a conversation that has been started up a little bit in the Discord in particular, since the dev chat with Perry dedicated to Arena. Because there's a little bit of an awkward spot right now. Hang on a second, I realized I actually didn't talk about the dev chat whatsoever so far in the show. So, in regards to... Let's pause this for a second. In regards to the dev chat, because it'll lead into more context later. But in regards to the dev chat, of course, similar to the Arena patch, I went into a much deeper dive of the dev talk in... It would have been yesterday's stream. So if you do want to get a better breakdown, yesterday's stream's where it's at. I'm going to go over some of the major points, but there's definitely more talked about in yesterday's stream. But first and foremost, Arena is here to stay, even though they admit it's not a commercially viable game, and if you wanted to call it a flop, you'd probably be right in doing so. It doesn't matter. They see the long-term potential with Arena and Obelisk Rising working together, so they're going to keep it alive, and they would just overall probably lose way more by shutting it down than keeping it alive, so they're going to do so. But of course, they're also going to show it some love here instead of letting it collect dust and just existing. So Perry's looking to go over any of the low-hanging fruit, little things that they could develop without taking much away from Obelisk Rising and being able to put a little bit of extra shine onto Arena. A couple of those are the battle passes. It's going to be smaller ones that bring back quests and then those potential for, say, double battle pass points weekends, bringing those kind of things back. They've also, of course, as a part of the latest patch, made an adjustment to prevent newcomers from immediately going up against pros and veterans. As long as you're below the rating of 1,280, you should not be playing up against any pros unless it's their first game of the season, which is very unlikely. So, newcomers, it's much easier to get involved. It's not the end-all be-all, but it's still something to help ease newcomers into the arena. But the big problem that we're going to be talking about here is debating on lowering the strength of levels in TPI, potentially a rework to the hyper system, two things that could potentially coming around, and then potentially weekly balance patches if there is enough community feedback and data suggesting that there should be one. So if, God forbid, there is the Dust Revenant of old when the patch got simplified or synergies got simplified for the sake of onboarding, and it ended up being like the worst patch in existence outside of patch 1.12, enough feedback and it should be patched up rather quickly, which is a very, very nice change. Granted, they had said that there would potentially be weekly balance patches in the past, but again, that was under different leadership compared to what we have now, so very, very hopeful for that. Set 1B was intended to bring enemies from Obelisk Rising into the game, but it was too complicated. Arena Mobile is too costly to perform, not just for the development, but the amount of marketing that it would take to actually start getting people to download your game. So Arena Mobile probably not going to be in the cards for the next little bit, alongside the real Ascendant. Not the Gauntlet Light bullcrap that we got before, but a real Ascendant is not going to be returning as of right now. And also on the negative side of things, experience boosters, as we know right now. So the 200% and the 600% booster that you can buy with fuel in the shop will be getting removed at some time in the future. However, there will actually be an announcement as to when that will be, so people can prepare for it, and it's not just, ripped from underneath you like how Auto Drones was a couple weeks ago. So they're looking to make sure they do it right. And then last but not least here for the Arena Dev Chat, there is casual tournaments currently in the works. Something on smaller scale, like it's not going to be Illuvium Pro League, it's not going to be Motiverse Cup, but something that can hopefully happen frequently enough to keep people interested, so to speak. Having that competitive scene show up, say, every month or every couple of weeks, month and a half or so, instead of, every 5 months or so, get one thing and then disappear for the next 5 months. They want something a little bit more consistent. It's being worked on, but no details as of this moment. But of course, known issues is currently the feeling of ownership, and that's where I want to get back here to this ownership topic. Because again, back and forth discussions here in the Discord overall, and let's see. The discussion in regards to the... Oh shit, I just kind of lost my train of thought here. My apologies about that. But in its current state, it's really weird. If we think of a couple of months ago, ownership was in a spot where, when I'm talking about ownership, I'm talking about the levels of your Illuvials, and I'm talking about the TPI of those Illuvials as well. The stats attached to them. If we think about it a couple months ago, if, say, a collection like myself, so I'm about a B+, maybe an A- level collection, if I were to grade it myself. I average about level 40, and my TPI's averaged about, say, 75 at this time. Around maybe 60-something at this time. And then I would still be able to go up against Fox Spirit, Dr. Spoon, and I would potentially be able to hold my own I could potentially win up against them if my composition was better overall. But a recent patch, I think maybe about a month or two ago, made it so that levels and stats make way more impact now than what they used to. And then they had realized, even on top of that, that there was a bug that actually prevented the total amount of stats being utilized properly right before the Motorverse Cup round of 32, if I recall correctly. So, stats are extremely powerful right now. And the big discussion here is a couple of options. Do we leave it as is and just accept it? Do we reduce it a little bit to make it a little bit more balanced? Or do we remove it entirely? There has been discussions across the Discord for essentially all of these topics, and none of them seem to actually feel very good. And I know personally I'm very torn. I'm of the mindset that when you buy your Illuvials, that you should have an advantage. If you have fantastic stats and you have levels, you should have an advantage, but not as much of an advantage to the point where you get an insta-win. And that's what it kind of feels like for a lot of players. Like, again, my collection right now, about B plus average or a 75 TPI average, level 40 average team, there is no chance in hell that my team will ever beat Bart or beat Dr. Spoon, Sota, or any of our top players, to the point where when it's a one-on-one with me versus them, I just want to surrender and just leave. Because I know there's no point to actually playing out that game because I'm going to lose. No point whatsoever. And that just doesn't feel good. And of course, that's amplified even more for whenever a newcomer comes into the game and maybe they're trying to level up their own Illuvials, and they just get absolutely clobbered even more so. If I'm having a hard time, God knows what these other players happen to be going through. So it's a very awkward spot, because I've seen the amount like being thrown around that there should be 5% for max level, 5% for TPI. I'd argue that's too low, actually, because I do, again, want you to have an advantage, but these are things that you've bought, so you obviously want them to have some sort of value. I like the idea of maybe 25-25 or 30-30, as Big Man has put in here, but I just want to make sure that people don't get what I'm saying twisted. I am not anti-ownership. In fact, removing ownership completely and bringing it back to the ranked mode that we saw when Illuvium Pro League was a thing would be a massive mistake. I do not want to see that. I would be a-okay with the occasional ownership off tournament, but make ownership the main game mode and then have tournaments for free-to-play modes every once in a while. If you want to like scratch that itch, so to speak, similar to what we did with House League. House League, 99% of the time, is going to be ownership on. But every once in a while, we'll throw something in that's ownership off. Just to spice things up and see if we can kind of reignite the fire into some players that have been very like demotivated after getting crushed in ranked time and time again. But then I'm thinking to myself, is ownership really the problem? Or is it just the lack of being able to get the Illuvials the problem? Now, I think the Illuvials themselves are the bigger problem here, because of course we don't have overworlds anymore to go catch them. And then again, credit card users like myself only have auto drone runs to randomly gotcha our way into a good Illuvial, and that doesn't feel good. The amount of money you have to spend it in order to hit something big, I mean, it's all random, right? But majority of the time, you're going to spend way too much to get something, to the point where you might as well have just done a crypto transaction. But again, a lot of players aren't looking for crypto transactions. So I'm very, very curious when we go into, say, the battle passes, for example, for this next bit coming up here. Sorry, I was kind of following up the Discord, so it was one of the ideas that I did have in mind. But with the free track, of course, potentially having alluvials as prizing through the daily quests, through like these kind of systems, hopefully that should at least get some people at least a couple of alluvials. I did throw something in the Discord where I was curious where, or no, it's Bondaddy Ratty rather. They had put the idea of alluvial fragments, which you see in a lot of gacha games, is where if there's a character that you want, by playing the game you get these little pieces, or these little fragments, and if you collect enough of them, you eventually get the alluvial. I was curious if there was a way where you could potentially have just like a de facto alluvial fragment, and then you collect enough of them through the free pass, and it'd be very, very slow through the free pass. But if you got the purchase pass, you get them a little bit quicker. That you can grind your way into collecting the fragments and eventually be able to pick out an alluvial that you'd like. I thought it was a really cool idea, but again, it did just kind of get shut down here by Perry, the entire fragment section, because it would just be way too much strain away from Obelisk Rising. So, fair enough there. It is what it is. Battle points should still, or battle passes should still get points from a casual as well. It's like half or quarter. That's another thing that could potentially be changed here as well. If players don't want to play with bonuses, they can play casual. If we get XP in casual, that might help. That is one of the things in the dev chat that I didn't quite mention. Harry would like to have casual actually have experience attached to it, and I personally agree with a slight caveat. I do not believe casual mode should ever have any sort of monetary incentive on the, like, having its own leaderboard, for example. If you're playing casual, you should be playing it to learn and potentially be playing it to level. It should not be the main way that you're able to get fuel of any sort. Because then you're just going to get into that awkward situation where even experienced players are going to go play casual just to try and double dip both leaderboards. It's not going to get the newcomers like a lot of people are thinking. And then it just opens the door, of course, to just pure extraction, right? You're going to be getting like a free leaderboard. People will come in and play the free mode, but they'll never touch building their own collection in the slightest. They'd be just strictly extracting. And, oh, you can just give them fuel as rewards. Well, then they could still go grab alluvials and just sell them. And they can try and extract that way. Would they be able to actually sell them or not? I mean, of course, that's always the question. But that'd be the intention. They're not there for the game. They're not there to grow. They're there for extraction. So I would not want to see casual mode get any sort of leaderboard, but I do agree that it should have experience in that mode, but at a lesser rate. I think the amount that Perry had said in the dev chat was that, say, casual mode could have half the XP that you would get from a ranked game, and I think that's probably along the right track. People are going to cry about bots or something along those lines, but I do not think that bots should be the answer for every single time where we can make a quality of life change. If we have to fight bots, we can call them out, we can report them, and we can try and deal with them. If Illuvium fails to act on them, that's their fault. But bots, and the fact that bots could potentially be a part of casual play and leveling up alluvials, should not ruin it for the genuine newcomers that are trying to level up their alluvials. So I do hope that casual mode does get an XP boost, or not an XP boost, but just gets XP in general, while also keeping ownership off so they can continue to learn the game. Like stats off and level off. You'd have ownership because the alluvials that you select would be leveled, but keep the stats off so they can learn the game as best as possible. That's where I personally see it. Quick wave to campaign here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on through here. But it was definitely quite the back and forth. But I just want to, like, again, bring it up, because I absolutely respect the hell out of everybody that put in the work, the time, the money to get incredibly high-leveled collections and high TPI collections very early in Illuvium's life through Overworld. I don't want to seem like I'm anti-ownership. I don't want to seem like I'm anti-whale or anything along those lines. I'm just trying to think about how can we get this game to the masses and not just be a yacht club. Because again, I do not want to see everybody being kings and queens of a dead kingdom. But it's still something that's absolutely on my mind. I imagine, I mean, if I were to guess at this point, this entire talk and this entire thing with ownership, I think is probably just so much of a headache to the point where it's almost probably a bit off more than they can chew kind of scenario here. Where I would probably just leave it be. If we can somehow, maybe through the battle pass, just get people Illuvials and just have a better road, a better path to introducing newcomers to Illuvials, being able to get their own Illuvials, and then eventually being able to get them to take that step to go do it faster by buying Illuvials, then Illuvials having high ownership stats probably isn't the main issue here. At least in my opinion. Would I benefit from it? 100%. I know if it was, say, 30-30 or 25-25, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, it would mean like collections like mine, B+ collections, could actually take games off of good players. Or good players with good collections. It would open up more people to being competitively viable. But if that's not the point, and we're missing the point by doing that, then forget about it. So yeah. Frustrated. A little torn. But I don't know. Last thing on the docket, of course, is going to be our Illuvium Arena House League. We're going to go through the prizes in just a moment's time, after everybody during their ownership off week here for House League. We'll hop into that in just a second. Make sure we're working properly. There we are. Perfect. Everybody's all here and good, set to go. All right. Right, sheets. There we are. So we're going to start things off here with No Cacho. We'll go from the bottom up here. No Cacho has one pack of Illuvials coming their way for their 8th place finish here in the ownership off variant of House League. We'll get into that right here, right now. One pack on the way for No Cacho, starting us off strong, hopefully. We'll see. Fury coming on through as the best pull, but how about TPI-wise? Is there anything standing up from here? Not necessarily, but there are some solid Illuvials here, nonetheless. Congratulations, No Cacho. These Illuvials will be sent to you tomorrow. I hope they make an impact one way or another. Challengers, we send these off. The wallet. Alright. Cacho has been opened. All good there. Up next, we're going to go over to Robert Tacho. Now, Robert Tacho, again, I didn't necessarily have Kara Blue Cup or Community Rescue prizes in mind when doing this House League that was ownership off. However, given that one of our Kara Blues did manage to get into the pricing, I do think it's actually a respectable choice here to go into Community Rescue. Maybe not necessarily as many points as a 9th or 9 points or 7 points, but we'll do 5. So we'll do 5 here for Robert Tacho. That'll be given after the packs are opened. But for the meantime, let's get back to our packs. These are going to be 2 packs here for Robert Tacho. Let's see what we can pick up here for you. It's going to be a beautiful Hollow Mule. 79 TPI onto that one. This little guy could actually pack a little bit of a punch. Please keep him away from the deathmatch. I'd love to see that on your team. A couple of additional Illuvials coming on through here as well. I think it stopped popping up in front of me. There we go. Anything in regards to high TPI, that's what I'm looking for. Couple in the 60s, couple of these tier 0s in the 70s, not too shabby as well. But congratulations, Robert Tacho, on your prizing here from last week's Illuvium Arena House League. And congrats on the beautiful Hollow. This is an absolutely beautiful Illuvial. Alright, 16 on the way. There we go. Next up shall be Awake Darkness 69. For their 6th place finish here in the Illuvium Arena House League. Got 3 packs coming their way. 24 Illuvials, here we go. Let's see what we can score this time. How about a Gnarl? 62 TPI onto that one. A nice little Fern as well, 60 TPI, or 63 TPI onto that one. This Winx is absolutely beautiful as well. 85 TPI onto that one. Gorgeous, gorgeous links. A beautiful Fennec box. Or did I say links? Winx is what I meant to say. We do have a Chuko hollowed out at 62 TPI here as well. Not too bad. Any tier 0 standing up? In fact, we do have one stand out, this 82 TPI Lesser Fire Doka. Congratulations, Awake Darkness. Couple of good ones in that pack. I think we're already doing better than last week, oddly enough. Last week, for whatever reason, was a very quiet one in terms of standouts. Next one, for the first time here for Illuvium Arena House League, we do have Warrior Ace. Their 5th place finish is going to score them 5 packs in just a second. Let's hop on over, load it up, and fire it on through. Total 40 Illuvials. Here we go. We have a Scarabok and an Ador coming on through. That is an incredible pack here for Warrior Race. The Scarabok and the Ador, again, both these tier 5s. The stage 1 variants of each of them. Heck, that Twine also 70 TPI as well. Riptor 78 TPI here at the exact same time. There's a lot of strong Illuvials here in that one alone. Couple of Exalted tier 0s coming on through, low TPI. Anything else of standout? Got a couple in the 70s for the Rota and the Caribou. And it looks like in terms of major standouts, oh no, never mind. Look at a couple of these tier 0s. 82 TPI onto that Lesser Eartha Tipo. Beautiful one. Lesser Nature Tipo 77. But with that, that is it for that pack. That is an incredible set of packs coming on through here for Warrior Race. Congratulations. Alright, next up we do have Hector. I did not send these over. Let me do that real quick. And then I'll need to be right back for one just brief second before we move on with Hector. Yeah, apologies, this is labeled as Hector, but this is not Hector's Illuvials here. My apologies for the mix-up there. Okay, we'll take a look at that in just a second. I do need a quick minute. Apologies for the interruption. But we'll get moving here with Hector in just a second's time. Family does need me for just a brief minute. I know I rarely take the breaks in stream and whatnot, but here, I'll just be 1 second, alright? Bear with me for 1 second. My apologies. Alright, sorry about that. Kiddo cut themselves a little bit, so I just had to quickly help them out there. But they're all is good. Sorry about the interruption once again. So now we can go do Hector. So Hector, of course, with the 4th place finish, has 6 packs coming their way. One of the better collections in the game, so trying to find an upgrade for them is going to be very difficult, but let's see what we can do. Fire them off. Best pull going to be a Quinks, an 82 TPI one at that. That is a beautiful Fennec box. Of course, a Quinks, that's the middle stage evolution onto that one. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This Hetty's not too shabby as well. One for 72 TPI. Same thing with the Vermilia. How about the next row down? Exalted Earth Flish, a 67 TPI Flish on top of that. That's a rare find in my opinion. Archo's not too shabby as well. Same thing here with this hollowed out Riptor. I imagine it's probably Deathmatch bound, but still a nice, solid little guy. How about this 81 TPI Baby Lynx? How about this next row? The Greater Earth Doka, the 71 TPI on that, going to be the highest standout there. An almost 90, a couple fantastic ones coming on through here in regards to big TPI Tier 1 Stage 1s. 89 TPI Chuko, 83 TPI Archie. Awesome pickups. Heck, even the Rota, 77. An 80 TPI Lesser Nature Tipo as well, going to stand out from that row. Otherwise, that is basically it, but not a bad pack overall here for Hector. The Quinks, of course, probably the rarest pull, but still some absolute awesome Illuvials nonetheless. I don't know if any of these will actually find a starting spot on Hector's team, but still a great set nonetheless, and I hope they can make an impact one way or another. Alright, 48 Illuvials, sent to wallet. Alright. Next up, it shall be Wolverine 777 Hype. 7 packs on the way to Wolverine after a 3rd place finish in the ownership off Illuvium Arena Host League matchup. Let's get into the swing of things right now. Yep, 7 packs, lock and load. Alright, Wolverine, let's see what we can get ya. It's going to be the best pulls looking like a Rip Lance. 54 TPI onto that one. Not a major stand-up, but still relatively solid. A Stoic Floor Link's going to be short to follow. A Seer coming on through. Its TPI ain't the greatest, but that is a rare pull nonetheless. Of course, that's a tier 4 fully evolved Illuvial. How about going into our next row? We're going to see the TNT is the highest TPI onto that one, 74. 68 onto that Slappin'. Going into our next row here, we do have a Hollow Lynx going your way for about 54 TPI as well. Any standouts here? Doesn't appear to be so. How about this one? 69 Water Tipo. Another Hollow coming on through. That's going to be the Lesser Water Doka. And that will round up this one. So there's a lot of volume in this. Maybe not necessarily a lot of high TPI, but there is still at least a couple of, at least evolutions, kind of making this pack interesting. So as always, I hope one way or another these Illuvials will make an impact in your adventures. $56 Illuvials. We'll send them out. Give it a brief moment here. Next up shall be Sota Hype. Another collection that's going to be very, very tough to actually upgrade, but we'll see if we can do it. 8 packs coming over to Sota here in just a second after a second place finish in the ownership off Illuvium Arena House League. Load them up. I know they're chasing a high TPI Dark Hollow. Could this potentially be the day? Let's fire it away. It's going to be a Fury, the 65% TPI onto that one, going to be the big one. And an Arctis as a Hollow, a rare find, but TPI is going to be hurting it a little bit. The Ace at about 79 TPI, a rather nice one, but I imagine Sota has stronger, considering they themselves played a little bit of fire here and there. This couple of Slappins coming on through, they 100% have something super strong, I imagine, there. Couple of Exalted Tier 0s coming through, which is nice, but TPI not too high onto those one. Lots of Lynxes in that row there, but nothing standing out super incredibly. Couple of 40 TPIs into that one, nothing too crazy. 69 Lesser Nature Doka. But again, a lot of volume, so a lot of these, as Sota would probably say, I'm staring at a pile of bones. So I imagine that is going to, in fact, be the case here. But at least, hey, 50 power. If you're looking to play in standard mode, that is a perfect little Fury to maybe hopefully score you some skulls. The Axodon short to follow. Heck, even that Arctis, actually, since it has the power boost with that Hollow, could very well be a decent Deathmatch Illuvial. Alright, 64 Illuvial. Send them on over. Then last but not least. There we go. Lots of bones, exactly. There's Sota. Good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So last but not least, Texan going to be coming on through here after another win here in the Illuvium Arena House League. 10 packs coming their way. Load them up. 80 total Illuvials. Let's see what we can do. For winning House League, we are going to have a ton of tier 4s lining this top row. What on earth is this pack? 79 TPI Singe to lead the charge alongside 3 different rakes. from 62 TPI to 55, respectively. Then all of a sudden, an 87 TPI Fury coming on through, and a 62 TPI Stabbin'. But then 2 holos in a row, and they're both polar bears. The 60 TPI Mule and 32 TPI Jokel. Going into the next one, can we continue to find some pretty crazy ones? I mean, that's a decent looking Kling right there. 80 TPI onto that Kling. Another Holo Riptor going to be joining us. 62 TPI onto that thing. Dropping on down, can we find a couple more high TPIs? Nothing in that one. A nice hollowed out Greater Nature Grocko, actually. 79 TPI onto that one. Hollowed out. Beautiful little Grocko. Handful of links is also to help fill things through. Little T-Roo at about 74 TPI. Nothing crazy from that one. As we start to look maybe towards a couple of our tier zeros, we do find a 79 TPI a Lesser Nature Flish. Lesser Earth Doka, 77 TPI onto that one as well. Not too shabby. But that is essentially it in regards to the standout. So again, congratulations Texan. Congratulations, everybody who made it into the top 8 in the Ownership Off Illuvium Arena House League. Scored some prizes, scored some Illuvials. Building your collection just by playing the game. That's what it's all about. And as always, I hope one way or another these Illuvials can make an impact in your journey. Alright, there we go. 80 Illuvials. Send them on over. And we'll be essentially all set there. Now, I don't know what it is about today, but I kind of did this entire stream on speedrun a little bit. Normally, after the openings, it'd be time to close things out. However, I still have like 40 minutes. Do we sneak in an arena game? I think it's definitely something that we could end up doing here. X says yes, do it. All right. All right. Alright, so in regards to the news side of things and the pack openings, that will be it for now. If you're strictly just for the news side of things and those packs, of course, that will be it. We will have, again, more streams coming on through. And in fact, even just right now, I'm going to sneak in one arena game. But tomorrow, we're also going to be in the arena. That is going to be my try-hard climbing day. So we'll get, I guess, a little bit of a sneak peek going into that stream in just a moment's time. We then, of course, do have Illuvium Arena House League. In the description of this video is the sign-up sheet for House League. Ownership is back on for this week, so make sure you keep that in mind when signing up. Of course, all the divisions. I'll be making sure that you're placed into a division where you're at least somewhat match-made. The battles should be close, and it should give you a different experience compared to what you would find in your normal everyday ranked play, where essentially anything goes. We'll be back at it again. We're just going to be trying to continue this 5 days a week of streaming. Nothing but Illuvium. I'm still having fun. And we're getting to the point where like tough discussions are actually happening, but for the sake of improvement and not just for the sake of pure negativity. It's very easy to be negative. It's very easy to think that we're against you, especially as somebody like myself who's coming in from a more, like, not a top layer level perspective, but just a gamer in general. I'm not a Web3 guy by any means. Again, I try to avoid using crypto whenever possible. It's just not my thing. I'd rather just use credit card. So I do try to find ways to make the experience better and more interesting for players like myself, but at no point am I trying to insult anybody and say that they're not worth it, the time, the money, or anything that they put in, that they're not worth it. I'm not even anti-ownership. I am absolutely for ownership at all costs. I'm just against immediate insta-win. That's all. All right, we're all queued up here for a round. Let's see what we can do. I got a little bit of extra time here onto these boosts, so sneak a game in. Yeah, it's an awkward spot to be in if you're Perry or the rest of the dev team here, because there are a lot of systems that can absolutely go a long way in making the low spend or newcomer experience better, but it would take too long to develop, which of course would take away from Obelisk Rising. And at all costs, we can't screw with Obelisk Rising. Not a chance. Again, no matter how good Arena is, Obelisk Rising will be the game that carries this universe. It has to be good before anything else can truly start flourishing. It all just comes down to the same thing. Like, so much of our issues right now would be solved if we can go out and catch our own Illuvials. Which is why it still boggles my mind that Overworld as a whole closed when it did. Because it closed in February, or January or February? And Obelisk Rising isn't meant to be out until December? I'm genuinely shocked at the awkward position it's put us in. So yeah, we were able to go out and catch our own stuff, we would not be having anywhere near as much of a trouble. And Robert Tacho, good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Congrats on the Illuvials. Hoping to see you again sometime soon. Maybe this week if all things go your way. As it stands right now for sign-ups, it looks like it's just 2. So it's a relatively quiet House League as of this moment, but we still have time. And of course, a nice thing about House League, no matter what, no matter how many people enter, the prizing never changes. Or at least it never changes for the worse. Add on prizing if we have more lobbies, but if it's a small house league, it's a small house league. It is what it is. We run it. I think many are watching the World Cup right now, but it's almost finished. Yeah, what? England versus Argentina, right? I know my son is torn right now because we have extended family from England, so we've been rooting for England, but my son really likes Messi, so there is no winning in this instance. Is that why I just heard a little bit of screaming in the background? Okay, I see. Yep, my son. Let's go! I heard him. That's funny. What? That might be a little bit quiet. I'm just in a little bit of a state of thought here, because, of course, like, I'm in I talk to developers and whatnot here and there, but I don't know like much in terms of behind the curtain. And I have a lot of ideas. Again, I'm trying to express for more so the general player base and the general gamer. But I do absolutely acknowledge that I'm not necessarily a Web3 guy. And I feel like I don't know if it's just me being paranoid, but I feel like people think that I'm out to get ya. That I'm trying to make your experience worse, or that I don't care about ya. I might just be overthinking it, which I'm absolutely prone to doing. I don't show it too often on stream, but it does happen quite often. Just note, as always, not everything I say is gospel. I could absolutely be wrong. I'm just looking forward to discussion, and I'm never trying to insult or hurt anybody. I definitely thank you. Definitely thank you there, Axe. It's just weird, because I just don't have all the answers, and it's one of the few times, like, I don't want to say that I'm a know-it-all. Not even close. But I feel like I can, in majority of times, logistically put things together and make a solution of some sort. But this is one of the few times where it feels like no matter which way we go, we're making it difficult due to the amount of resources that can actually be pulled. So it's not stumping me, but it's definitely difficult. I don't like that the best option for the whole level and TPI issue is probably just leaving it alone. You can have the same feeling with Deathmatch, since I spent a lot of time more than devs, so I feel like I know it better than them. No, definitely understand. And in certain instances, especially for Arena for the longest time, we could say that without question, right? Because again, nothing personal against Nil. They're working on Deathmatch, they're doing their thing. But for the longest time, of course, they were leading the Arena side of things. And they didn't play the game. They didn't care about the game, it felt like. At least that's the vibe that we got. And now we're in a point where people are actually caring again about the game. But the choices are not easy choices that need to be made. Because, of course, you don't want to alienate all the people that have spent time and money already through Overworld or through PAX, however you happen to have done that. But there's no question that this ownership feels messed up. In a best-case scenario, obviously, this would be an 8-player Ascendant, where you would build your own team ahead of time and then go into the arena. But of course, we can't do that because of development. We can't get actual real Ascendant back because of development. We can't get additional systems in line because of development. And they might be looking for low-hanging fruit solutions, but this one is not one that is. So it feels really messed up, but I feel like they actually have to essentially just leave it alone, because there's nothing that they can do that isn't just going to piss everybody off. Well, this is not exactly the kind of lobby that I was hoping for here. Because in this game, it's just me. I am 99% sure that this is a 100% bot lobby with the exception of myself. Big man, 8-player Ascendant is what we need to help Arena, but we have to wait 100%. And will we ever get it? I have no idea. It would have to be long after Obelisk Rising comes out, and even then you're probably more focused on getting the next layer of Obelisk Rising out rather than redoing Arena. So that's why I'm not so convinced that this is just a matter of, oh, just wait until Obelisk Rising's out, because I don't think that's actually going to end up being the case. There's always going to be something. I still think this is better than getting matched up against low-tier players. They get crushed rather than having split 2 bot lobbies in. Oh, 100%. Like, the only reason I'm frustrated that this is an entire bot lobby is because I'm streaming. And I want to be able to, like, play it up. I want to have a little bit more fun with the community, but it's just unlucky I got all bots. If I was offline and I saw an all-bot lobby, I'd be content. I'd be, like, I wouldn't be upset by any means. And even now, like, I'm not upset. I just wish that this happened off-stream. But this is going to allow me just to kind of throw whatever at the win. Not necessarily guarantee a free win by all means, but we can play something kind of fun, I suppose. Now, since I'm the only one, it means that all of their teams are going to be the exact same level as me, so I have to keep that in mind. As much as I would love to throw in, maybe say my Chuko that's only level 32, these are going to be much higher level Illuvials than what I'm normally dealing with. So I gotta be careful. Like, I have all my augments onto my Valente, but it's just a little guy. It's 24. And because of that, I'm probably going to lose this round. Weird that we got legendary augments in this one, too. Considering what I was thinking about, this does not go towards it at all. I guess we'll just do damage amp, I suppose. Your son will be happy. Game finish, Argentina won. Alright, thank you for the warning for when I go to talk to my wife later. So that's what? Who won yesterday? Argentina versus who in the finals? Versus Spain in the finals. Perfect. Thank you, X. That's interesting. I don't follow it too much, but from what I understand, Argentina was essentially the favorite going into this game, or going into the World Cup. I could be wrong, but I feel like that was something I heard before. The poodle moths are actually something that I do need to level up, so I'm going to probably try and take advantage of this. Maybe build the ace up a little bit. It's one of the few lines where the baby form is actually higher level than the stage 2. But I have to, you know, actually win the game. try and do something different too. I don't want to just go like plain Inferno Arcanite. More attack damage, yes please. Percent base potentially. Go ahead and try that. But my big tank in the lead, that part's fine. Let's then bring in all the firepower we could potentially want. Not sure if that's optimal, but we'll go with it anyway. Getting up to 6 is eventually where I want to be. One thing that I just realized as well, I was thinking about it last night. I realized when I do gameplay streams that I'm so used to having my stream set up for like esports style, so hiding my mouse and whatnot. But does having my mouse not visible make it harder to follow, or would you rather me have the mouse showing? Because that is absolutely something I can make a quick adjustment on. There we go, level 5. Yeah, we're gonna end up getting crushed a little bit after this next round. Now that we've hit our max interest, I'm still pretty comfortable. Sure, I took a lot of damage early, but the comeback is around the corner. I'm not too concerned. Okay, Rai gonna join us. Revo potentially. See, I actually don't want to be rolling right now. I do want to be leveling up a little bit. Give my ace in a little bit of a better spot in terms of pyro fields. Make sure it cuts across as many alluvials as possible. Similar situation to my ranger. Yeah, let's just move up to 7. Basically play this as if I was playing rogue. I did find it kind of funny during the dev chat. Of course, they did play a couple community games right afterward. And of course, Rich always giving me hell whenever I play a corner composition. So in game 2, I went rogue. Just to say, oh yeah, really? I only play corners, you say? That was fun. Alright, is there anything a little bit better? This is what I had a lot of fun with earlier, actually. Let's do this. Title shift. Okay, leveled a little bit. Can get one more onto the board. Okay, Gorilla, I need you to level up a little bit. You go over here, you go over here. You dive, just straight up murk the back line. You're good there. Bracco, I don't need you. Let's see, Rogue 5. Rogue 6. Finding ramp fights or Rampy would be Rogue 7. So what I found, like, now do actually right now is a Phantom-based 6-fire build with Steam. It's kind of greedy because you're tapping on a lot of parts of other people's teams. Like, say if you do manage to find Rake or Umber, that's pretty contested due to a Steam Harbinger kind of build. But at the same time, then I'm also going up against Rogue Verdant Vanguards. But then I'm also tapping into Inferno Arcanite because I build Inferno too. It'll be kind of funny if we can pull this off, and getting this is actually a nice little bonus. There we go. Thank you, Caradulo. Your services are much appreciated. Just add on another one. So there we go. 6 fire already. We can get up to 7. No, Rota, you need levels first. Let's get you in there. Now at level 7, it makes it so juicy for me to do rolling because I need Monarch, Flashin, Malura. And I could potentially even throw in Vermiliere in there, or Verminio. The Composite Synergy I'm actually going to hang on to for a second. And then that wasn't on my bingo card, but I'll take it. The Dash actually coming out to play. I'll actually do something like this instead. Fire onto the Dash. Let's get you loaded up. We do need some sort of safety net for our Dash at some point. We'll send that there for the time being. But I was trying this out earlier, and poor Jojo Jackos, they were the one who had to actually be on the receiving end of it. I do believe there is potential level differences as well, but this thing exploded with damage. When you have your Ranger set up to be a Steam Phantom or a Steam Vanguard, either way, it absolutely shreds, because you've got the bonuses for the Penguin, you've got the bonuses for the Phantoms, and then I believe I had Verminio as well, so I just had Revenant on top of it. It was a pretty disgusting composition. I want to see if I can redo that here today. Hey, there's a Lulura. Speaking of Vermilia, okay, there we go. Steam now online. And in fact, let's get just a couple of augments like this. This sounds good to me. Do I have a fighter? I do. This could even be Steam Slayer if I manage to get all the way up to Umber. Okay, swap you out. I'm not going to have 6 fire for the time being. But now we just need to find Rampy to get that next fire Illuvial back into the swing of things. But we do see here, one of the bots seems to be collecting them. And there is no safety net for any of my rogues. I don't have any sort of phase breaker. Oh. One thing I'm realizing, this Tidal Shiv actually does a ton of damage. It's scary, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I could potentially roll now, see if I can get either a Revenant chip or a Steam chip. Not going to hit either. We'll hit the Steam chip, though. We'll take that. Do I maybe do something like this, potentially? Another Steam Illuvial. And now we've got the Artsace. Finally, I can actually start putting some damn levels into this thing. Could we potentially turn this into like a full Steam Vanguard? Full Steam Revenant, maybe? It wouldn't be full Steam Revenant because there is no Fire Empath in the game, right? I mean, either way, at this point here, it's probably just better off for me to start pushing levels. And then no matter what, even if I get cleaned out by the bot here, I'm just happy to get experience here onto a couple of Illuvials that I don't get to use too often. I am absolutely missing my rerolls. I was hoping for a Bruiser Augment by this time. Not gonna hit it whatsoever. Funny enough, I don't think I'm confident to take down this bear. 16 to level again. I think we do it. Just to keep herself alive, because I mean, I'm around that 50 HP mark. This is where things get scary, right? Right, Rake not doing too bad so far. Arte's flying on through. This should be a good lineup. Not bad at all. There we go. Not bad, not bad. Considering the level difference between my Rake and my Artes, that's not bad at all. There we go. Let's see. Facebreaker, yes please. There we go. So now we can actually have a relatively decently powerful Rake that's a little bit safer. It can work to put a couple of these extra damage augments. Get up to level 9, so I could potentially score Rampy. See, sustain. I think we'll do the tanker option. Let's get the most amount of damage possible with that Omega alongside the overflowing impact reactor. I think I can give that over to Chikoro for the time being. Or actually, not even. Let's throw this over to Lilura, rather. Fire chip? Fire chip. Or rogue chip. I have a fire that I want. Let's just go rogue. Throw that onto Vermilia. It dives in anyway, but now it's going to get the bonuses of the rogue side of things. Level up halfway. Never mind about the Alphys, actually. Never mind about the Rotas. Level again. And now we have our best opportunity to start finding pterodactyls. There was somebody playing it, so sure enough, No Scope, one of the bots, gonna be playing that one. Have to see if we can get lucky with a couple of these picks, because I did power level through a lot of my tier 3s that I would want. And it's putting me in a rough spot. Big damage. That stun coming out there from that Ranger was kind of scary, not gonna lie, but does the Steam let us get it? That was close, actually. Damn. Bloodthirst. There we go. Gladly accept that. Now let's see if we can start finding a couple of our Illuvials. Rampy, there we go. Which one do we get rid of? We absolutely get rid of the Valente. Thank you for your services. I can't remember which one's my good one. I think this is it, right? Yeah, this would be my good one. We can give you, since now, again, the Rampy actually hits pretty hard now. One of the buffs that did come through in the last patch was just making it so that the Pterodactyl's basic auto attack actually hurts. So it's not just strictly about its Omega anymore. You do have to be careful of even just its downtime while it's auto attacking, because it can actually do some pretty decent damage. And this is going to be tough, especially since there are a handful of players with some pterodactyls of their own. But hopefully they can get killed off. Heck, even in a lobby of bots, I managed to get contested. What the heck? Ace will accept. I mean, Vermilia, I've been seeing them all around here, and I haven't seen them on the board too much. There we go. Ramp fight. We'll gladly accept ya. Do I... Because Steam, of course, it's damage amp, right? If I throw this onto Ramp Fight, what happens? This might be kind of funny. Now, No Scope basically has the team that I wish I had, oddly enough. This is a Steam Rogue build. That's kind of weird. They have the Goliath as well, so their Illuvials, to be honest, are a lot better than mine. But can my ramp fight carry? I don't think so, because here come the Vanguards. Yep. Yeah, this is messy. Going for Rogue when a bot went for Rogue all of a sudden could cause me some troubles here. Okay, so what is a carry that I can pick up that is not being heavily contested? Dash might be one. Okay, so a couple of Furioxes got taken off the board. That's something to keep in mind. But a Scoriox is right there, so I can't go that route either. Umber, I mean, there's the one there. No scope again. Again, yeah, there's two people going for rakes. So that doesn't make things easy. I mean, I don't see anybody going for ferns. Is anybody going for singes? Yeah, there's singes here too. So yeah, messy situation here. And if I happen to get taken down, just let it be known to show that even someone experienced like me loses to bots. Call it skill issue, call it whatever you want, but it's absolutely something that can happen. Okay, now that that polar bear just died, actually, maybe that's the way to go. Is there anybody else with any polar bears? No, okay. We're gonna start looking for polar bears then, I think. And Rampy will take you to... Pause there for a second. Never mind about the fern. There's a few ways we can go. Not all hope is lost, but this is definitely weird. And I realized a little bit too late, but I already have Phantom online, so I can actually be putting my my Rampite into some more dangerous positions, because it should still be safe thanks to that untargetability. The crit damage reduction, given that the one leading is actually Rogue, sure, let's try that. Polar Bear. Polar Bear, there we are. Switch out for Gorilla. Rampy, you go there. Set up like that for now. I just walked past a Vermilia. That's unfortunate. Alright, Rampy, let's see what you got. A good spot there for you. And you're joint up there with the rake right beside you. To the skies. There we go. That extra little Phantom untargetability coming in rather nice. And we take care of one of the other players holding the Artaces. So maybe we can get a Phantom partner up here in just a few minutes. Okay, the single free by any means. Nice little pickup here with the Vermilier, but that's still a rather weak one here on my side. Playing a little bit lost, but let's see where we stand versus this bot. And that Umber going to be the scary part, but maybe our ramp fight can bail us out alongside the rest of these rogues. Good shot onto the Ranger. And yeah, we're just going to hopefully swarm down this Umber. This isn't the unstoppable Umber of old, so we are alright. But I'm going to have to go up against this other rogue player that is actually doing quite well. We are very close to potentially hitting a additional... Excuse me, I almost lost my train of thought again. And Furiox potentially come in here and save me. Maybe we can do that, actually. We're going to lose Predator, but actually we already lost Predator. Put the Rogue chip onto my dear Furiox, so it jumps to the other side and retreats. Alright, Bear ramp fights up. It's more so the slash and that I'm scared about right now. Mine did a complete airball. And alright. Old reliable, the Furiox going to come in and just bail me out from that scenario completely. Now, can we at least get Monarch for 1 round, maybe? Maybe. Oh, we got a Rampy. No, not quite. Let's move this over. Didn't get the chance to move the ramp fight, but it is what it is. It should hopefully be able to walk into a decent spot. So this was just a very, very sloppy game, but it's just kind of showing when I'm on ranked modes and sometimes I'm trying random stuff, I know the points can very well, like, fall away from me. I could throw away some easy games. Heck, this game isn't even done yet. But I'm just trying to have fun at the same time. At the end of the day, if you're not having fun, then what are you doing? I get overconfident, and then an Umber just absolutely wraith strikes me to death. All right, then, Umber, I see you. I should probably have that augment onto ramp fight, shouldn't I? I mean, no, not necessarily, because Rake is actually the higher leveled one. The 7th rogue. Any of my final evolutions, we get them both. There we go. Monarch, Your Majesty has arrived. Throw that on there. There we go. Breach Pulse, potentially? I mean, there is no shields, but it is what it is. Something like this. Rampfire has arrived, and now that it's Rampfire, maybe I can justify doing that. Bring you here. Familiar with the Pinchin alongside these guys here. You take this, actually. I mean, we could still absolutely lose this. This is a final battle. We do have the untargetability, so that Rip Lance isn't going to be going after my Rampfire at least immediately. And there we go. We blew it up very, very quickly. So there we go. This is kind of the idea of what I was cooking in past matches. Because, yeah, if I actually get the positioning right, it's actually a pretty fun team. So the idea behind that one, again, this was a Steam Phantom. There is worlds where you can actually take Steam Phantom and turn it into, it's like Rogue Revenant or Rogue Vanguard, but eventually pivot into Phantom if you really wanted to. And then one thing that I could have done as well, since I was able to get the natural Phantom at the very end, when Rampfire and Monarch both became available at the same time, I could have then pivoted my Ranger into one of the other synergies, maybe get Predator, maybe upgrade Revenant, maybe upgrade Vanguard. There's a few flexible ways that you can absolutely take this, so this is kind of like a rough idea that I had in mind. Obviously, I played that super, super sloppily. I am absolutely in my own head here today, and a little bit of out of it, so I definitely apologize if it came over the stream. But that was still pretty fun, and I'm overall, again, still very happy to have been able to level up some Illuvials. Art Taste finally getting closer to 40. That's a big one that is definitely an outlier here for me personally. Rampfire Wings, love them so much. Oh yeah, it's easily one of the coolest Illuvials in the game. 100%. But that will wrap up today's stream. I'll have a much more arena-focused, the competitive-based stream tomorrow, happening at the same time, of course, 3:30 p.m. my time, or 3:30 p.m. UTC. Then, of course, we have Illuvium Arena House League on Friday, so still 2 more streams to be happening this week. Absolutely looking forward to it. Of course, always bring your discussions up in the Discord as well. We are in a very interesting spot right now where We finally have some people actually taking a look at Arena and trying to make it better, but they cannot put too much development time on it because we can't take away from Obelisk Rising. So there's lots of discussion, ownership, of course, being the big one. It's the one that's in my head right now in regards to like how powerful should TPI, how powerful should levels be? Is that even the problem? It's just obtaining Illuvials that's the problem. There's a lot to think about, of course. There is absolutely no right answer right now, because at the end of the day, of course, like I said before, respect the hell out of everybody who's put in the time and money already to build the collections that they have. But I do not like the idea of stats being so powerful to the point where you could insta-win and basically just AFK. Which it definitely feels like when you're playing up against some of our top players. But I'm also completely content with the idea that maybe it's just a skill issue. Maybe we just leave it alone. And maybe it's just obtaining Illuvials that's the problem. It's all being talked about. It's good discussions that are being had. As long as we're not just randomly slinging mud anywhere and like thinking that we're out against each other. Like, that's not the intention at all. We're just trying to build the best game possible for the masses. And of course, my goal is just make this so that it's not a yacht club. That it can be inclusive to everybody, but still respecting the players that put the time and money in. And I'm not going to be able to do that alone. So, as always, give your feedback into Arena. Just because I say something does not mean it's gospel. It's okay to go against me. And I'm okay with you going against me. I'm 100% willing to be wrong. But we will be calling it a day for today. Again, big thank you to everybody who tuned into This Week in Illuvium. Between the stream last night or yesterday afternoon, where we went over the dev talk and the Arena patch in depth, and This Week in Illuvium with all the news, of course, in Illuvium. It was a fantastic time over the last 2 days. While I'm still in an odd spot right here, right now, trying to figure out where we should potentially take things or where I should suggest taking things, again, it's just because, like I said before, just trying to make the game and community bigger and better. And as long as I'm having fun doing this, regardless of my channel status, if I'm having fun, we'll keep on doing this. And I thank the community big time for sticking with me and hanging out with me day in, day out. We are definitely more positive than last week. Hell yeah, last week we thought the game was getting shut down, right? Like, that was a rough spot to be in. Hearing overall that, like, yes, Arena is staying, and in fact, not just staying and collecting dust, but actually being upgraded, that is humongous news. I know, like, I've probably, like, not been this excited for Illuvium, especially yesterday, in a very, very long time. But there are still absolutely some things that need to be talked about. Still a long ways to go. The game, by all means, isn't perfect, and it's never going to be perfect, because, of course, we're not trying to take development time away from Obelisk Rising. But can this still be a great game standalone? I do believe so. We have a little bit of work, of course, that needs to be done. A lot of the features that we could potentially want might not be doable. But if we can get this game into a spot where it's a solid game overall, where you can play Arena as a way to then get ready for Obelisk Rising, I think that'd be the best case scenario. That more players for Arena, more players ready for Obelisk Rising, and that would just be an overall net benefit for the entire ecosystem. And then maybe we can actually start thinking about Illuvium Zero. Because all this time about me talking about Illuvium Arena collecting dust, Illuvium Zero players are just like, hold my beer, it's been years, bruh. So, like, I definitely understand that we're a little bit more blessed than them in that situation. Kirito, good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Most positive couple days in this year, 100%. Looking to keep this going. And I've always looked forward more to just the future of Illuvium, but I feel good about it right now. And I want to ride that as much as I possibly can. So as always, going to be streaming as much as possible, trying to shake things up a little bit. I don't want to have multiple of the exact same topic every week, but I'm just happy to hang out nonetheless here. And of course, as always, Illuvium Arena House League will continue as well. Massive thank you again to Illuvium themselves for supporting the community-run events, whether it be my events or the Ratty Data events. Big thank you to them for doing so. And I look forward to hearing more about whatever their casual tournament or casual event that Perry brought up in the dev chat ends up being. Looking forward to seeing what ends up happening there. But I shall be calling it a day once again here. Dinner time, and then, of course, we'll be back tomorrow. It's going to be my try-hard day. We're at rank 28th, I think, right now. Can we bump that up to a top 20? We'll have to see. I'd love to be back up in the top 20. Would absolutely mean a lot. But as always, whether it be the Deathmatch Pit or Arena itself, good luck on your battles. And as always, good luck with your training, Ranger. I'll see you tomorrow.
Woke up tired, didn't sleep all night. Mine's still running like a traffic light. Red for stop and green for go. I'm stuck somewhere in between them both. Brushed my teeth and checked my phone. Everyone looks like they've already grown. Smiling faces, perfect lives. I'm here asking, what am I doing with mine? I don't have a plan, I just have today. Trying not to throw the little good away. Heart still heavy, but I'm still here. Taking one small step through the fear. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on my way. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on